Hello again. Now, our next subject is karma, and I looked at my regular sources and I couldn't find too much on karma. So what I had to do is go back to an old source, and as a matter of fact, I believe in something called synchronicity, that coincidences don't just happen. And there was this great psychologist, Carl Jung, J-U-N-G.
Is he giving you good karma or bad?
Now, before you get to synchronicity, he had proved that by the laws of probability, and this is a psychologist who studied under Freud, he said things just don't happen by coincidence all the time. And he showed that it's beyond the law of probability. And so he coined the term synchronicity. I did not know I was going to get into a subject of karma when I was discussing this book with another group of mine, and I read twice what I'm about to read to you because I thought it was so important, and lo and behold, it's given me a little more insight into what I think karma really is. And just bear with me as I get to this point. And this is from a teacher, a friend of mine. He says that the word karma literally means action in quotations. The word karma literally means action, and karma is both the power latent within actions as well as the result of our actions. The power latent within actions. When we usually talk about karma, we think, well, that's his karma. That's something that happened before. Now he's paying for it.
We have questions.
That's not it. All right, let's take the question. Then we're going to get back to karma because I think this is pretty important for all of us.
Yeah, we have one question. Can we change karma or influence it somehow?
Yes. Now, again, we have to understand what we're talking about. Now, let me define what I think karma is. Karma is not something that happened to the past and is coming back to bite you in your butt. Karma is something that you are creating in this very moment. Your action is creating.
Michael.
Careful.
Watch your karma that you're creating.
Well, and that's it. What type of karma are you creating when your son, your daughter has a car accident? How do you respond? You decide many different ways how to respond to a different event. You are acting, and that's where karma really comes in. What actions do you take in any given situation in your life? There are Buddhist monks who are loving every time they come into a situation where they have to deal with suffering. They love suffering. They say their karma is ripening for the suffering so they can deal with the suffering. Whoa! Now wait a minute. Deal with the suffering. They look at an event and they choose how to deal with that event. Latent power in action. That's what karma is. What do you do? How do you perceive the event that's going on? How do you react to it?
Okay, let's talk about karma in a country. Current situation, you were asking, in Spain, Egypt, Missouri, is it karma? And do countries have a karma?
Yes. There is a collective karma in Tibet. And the Tibetan people think it was their collective karma that they have to have been invaded by the Chinese and have the Tibetan monks thrown out of Tibet because it enabled the Dalai Lama, who never left Tibet in his entire life. I mean, we're talking 14th Dalai Lama today. He is now in India. He's all over the world. He's meeting with the Pope. He met with this Kabbalistic guy, Michael Lightman. I mean, he's meeting with, and they're sharing these different ideas. And that's what the Tibetans believe. There is a collective karma that forced their country to become part of a rippling effect throughout the world. And it happened in Russia. For Christ's sake, do you think that the Russian Revolution, some people say, what good was that? Well, if you were a poor person and you saw that the imperial czar had all this money, you would think that was good to overthrow him. But then you had this oppressive, you had Stalinism, you had no religion, no spirituality. Only atheism can survive in this country. Now, all of a sudden, we are learning that there's so much spirituality coming out of Russia. These people are starving. They are so thirsty. They're so thirsty for the word that is out there, and part of that word is karma. They are taking actions instead of jumping into a hall, pulling something over their head and saying, that's it, it's karma. They're taking action.
Okay, you're saying that whatever they did, they influence next generation, and this is bad karma?
Let's get away from the word good and bad, but let's focus on positive and negative. Positive and negative. Let's say positive and negative.
Okay, but it's influence. Whatever was done by ancestors, right?
I don't know if it's done by ancestors. Now, the question comes back, what if it was done by you in a different life?
So I influenced is my action today influence karma of my kids or my future kids?
I don't know. I don't have the answer. All I know is that when I think of karma, I think of the individual.
But I know.
The individual takes action, and that action has a rippling effect on their child, on the parent, on the people you work with. And you never know how a very small type of effort on your part is going to have a gigantic karmic effect on someone else. And I don't mean gigantic in the sense that it's going to be earth-shattering. This friend of mine this past week told me she was in line at a liquor store, and this man behind her was really agitated. He had tattoos here and looked like he just got out of prison, very agitated, and he was making all these weird sounds. And so she let him get ahead of her. And he went up to the liquor store, the cashier. He made his purchase, and he said, I want to buy for that lady. She was the only one that helped me out. She didn't expect that type of an effect from such a small type of action. Now let me tell you about another story I heard. And this was a young man who jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. He tried to commit suicide. And he lived. And now he goes around and he talks about what happened and why he wanted to commit suicide. And the one thing he tells people, and it really shakes him up, is that he was there waiting for someone to talk to him. They come up and they asked him to take their picture. They come up. No one would talk to him. He jumped to kill himself. Ladies and gentlemen, we can create positive karma by simply taking small actions. They can have such a gigantic effect, and we don't even know it. Same thing with negative karma.
Okay. Our viewer is asking, we almost kill the nature. We exhaust our sources, we damaging our earth. This is a karma? What is it, punishment?
No, I don't like to think of sin. I don't like to think of guilt. I don't like to think of blame. What I like to think of is action. What do we do that now that we're faced with these type of traumatic we are at a point where we have to make decisions. And we can make decisions out of love, support for each other, or follow the old path, which is a negative karma that creates bad rippling effects. We're going to take another short break, and when we get back, we're going to try and wrap this up and see how much love has to do with creating positive karma wherever we go. Stay tuned.